It's another edition of Time About the Movies. We're jumping into the month of April 1990, and we've got 6 movies to look at to start the month, so let's not waste any time. Let's just jump right into it with the first movie, and that is Ernest Goes to Jail. Yeah, people forget there was a time when Ernest P. Worrell was a worldwide known popular character. I mean, not only did he have the movies by Disney, he was also in a ton of commercials that you saw for various products. He had a TV show in the 80s. Like, there was a point between around 85 and up to his death in 2000 where you just saw Ernest everywhere. Jim Varney made that character into a draw for him. It made him a well-known, popular star. And these movies did make money. I mean, these movies did make money. Disney wouldn't keep making these movies if they weren't making money back then. But, truth be told, I've never really been a fan of the Ernest movies. I think the only one I've actually really liked was Ernest Saves Christmas, but even then, that was mostly because of the actor who played Santa in that movie, Douglas Seal, who you know is Jasmine's father, the Sultan in Aladdin. But other than that, though, most of the Ernest movies, they're pretty much kind of the same movie. I mean, if you like the character of Ernest, if you like the idea of Ernest as in this style of comedy, I think you get a kick out of these movies more than I think most people would. I mean, really, it just depends on your type of comedy. Do you think this type of comedy works for you? Did you like the other Ernest movies? Then probably you're going to enjoy this movie a lot. I watched it. It's just kind of like, it wasn't the worst, but it's not something I'd watch again. It's one of those movies that's just kind of like, okay, what else do you have? It's just like, there's just really nothing there for me. I mean, like I said, the only one I really liked was Ernest Saves Christmas, but even then it was for everybody but Ernest, but I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to be too harsh on this movie. It's made for an intended audience. They probably got a kick out of this. It's not. There's nothing really offensive about it. It's just kind of like, okay, it's the same stuff you've done in the last couple of movies, and I can't blame them for it. If they make money, if people like to see more of them, they're just going to keep making them. So, who am I to judge on that? So, there you go. That's my thoughts on Ernest Goes to Jail. So let's go ahead and move on to the next movie, and that is The First Power. Yeah, this is pretty stupid. I mean, the trailer makes it seem like it's this cool, sadistic, neo-noir type of thriller, but this is really stupid. This is just so stupid. I mean, the serial killer is clearly a danger to society, and he should immediately be given the death penalty. But the movie's trying to make you feel like, no, this dude doesn't deserve to die, even though he keeps consistently killing people one after another. It's just like, come on, man. It's just like, they would have killed this guy instantly, but not in this movie. Not in this movie at all. Also, what cop acts like Lou Diamond Phillips in this movie? I mean, you saw the scene where he's, like, pointing at the camera, and it's like, hey, baby, how you doing? It's just like, come on, man, this is supposed to be taken seriously. It's just like, this is so stupid. I mean, I can't really specify it anymore. This is a stupid movie. I mean, there's potential here, but it's just not a good movie at all. It's just one of those movies that it's a badly written film. It's a typical generic horror movie with the lazy jump scares, just stupidly written characters all around. There's no smart people in this movie. It's a cheap thrill. It's a cheap thrill that's not even that worth of a thrill at all. It's just a bland, boring film that just doesn't work whatsoever. It's just a terrible movie, man. The First Power, completely skip it. So let's go ahead and move on to the next movie. So this is Lawrence Kasdan's follow-up to The Accidental Tourist. They also did Body Heat, The Big Chill, Silverado, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi. I talked about his work before because we did The Accidental Tourist on the first episode of this show. And for a follow-up film, this is not one of his better movies. I mean, with a cast this good, Kevin Kline, Tracy Ullman, Joe Plowright, River Phoenix, William Hurt, Keanu Reeves, you kind of expect a lot more than this, but the writing is just not there. This is just not what you'd expect from this guy. Maybe it's because he didn't write this movie. He's directed it, but he did not write this movie. This is actually based off of an attempted murder that happened in '83 in Allentown, Pennsylvania. where this woman tried to kill her husband, and then she ended up spending 4 years in prison for attempted murder. She was actually released 2 years before this movie came out. And, yeah, like I said before, I think because Lawrence Kasdan had proven at this point that he could be a decent writer, a really good writer, I think if he had more to say in this movie and a chance to write this film, there probably could have been a much better movie here. But as it is, great cast, kind of wasted here. There's not really a whole lot of good funny jokes in here. Just a forgettable movie all around. Let's go ahead and move on to the next movie, and that is John Waters' big mainstream film debut, which is Crybaby, starring Johnny Depp. Maybe mainstream is probably not the best word to describe it, but this movie did have an unusually high opening number of theaters for a John Waters movie, because most of his movies were limited releases. Pink Flamingos, Polyester, Hairspray. None of them really got a huge release when they first came out, but Universal gave this one a big release at the time. I mean, 1,200 theaters in 1990 was huge for that time period. So they had a lot of hope for it, and they had a lot of hope for it because Johnny Depp was coming off of 21 Jump Street at the time. And the movie didn't do well, but it has go on to have a cult following over the years. And it's pure John Waters doing what John Waters does so well. It's a campy, fun, over-the-top movie, a good musical. Johnny Depp is pretty good in this movie. He does a pretty good job here. The music is very well done. The music is done by Patrick Williams. I like Amy Longcrate in this movie. I like the singing. I like Ricky Lake. Tracy Lords is in this movie as well. Iggy Pop is in here. It's just a fun movie. It's a fun, silly, goofy, over-the-top movie. It knows exactly what it's trying to be, and it knows what makes audiences want to come and see this. If they've already seen John Waters' previous movies, they're going to get what they see here. It's a great movie. Very fun, underrated movie. If you haven't seen it, definitely check out Crybaby. You will not be disappointed by it. So, on to the next movie. Hey, want to see a lesser version of Blue Steel? Here's Impulse for you. I mean, it's pretty much Blue Steel, except not as good. Doesn't have the cast to really keep it together. Doesn't have a decent director to keep it together, even though Teresa Russell, Jeff Fahey, George Zazandra, they're great actors. You can see them in other movies and they do very well. But not when they're given a script like this. This is pretty much just, like I said, Blue Steel, except it doesn't have the thrill factor, it doesn't have the dramatic factor to it that made Blue Steel kind of a pretty good movie. It's just kind of there. It's just one of those movies that Warner Brothers thought maybe it could work as a hit, maybe not, but it was quickly forgotten right away. It didn't even make back its budget, and it's been largely forgotten, probably for good reason. So, that's Impulse, just a completely forgettable movie. Let's go ahead and move on to the last movie, and that is The Cook, the Thief, his wife, and her lover. I luckily got the title right, surprisingly. I mean, you would think that this would not be as hard of a title to say, but when you have to say the title, The Cook, the Thief, his wife, and her lover, chances are you're gonna get you're gonna get it screwed up at some point. But this is a pretty good movie. I mean, if it's very Kubrick-esque. Peter Greenaway definitely has a lot of vibes from watching Stanley Kubrick movies. You can definitely see his homages in this movie. It's a great black comedy, a great black comedy, a great crime drama, and it is the typical art film. I mean, it does feel like an art film that doesn't. I say that as a bad thing, but here I think it's a good thing because it's a very visually stunning movie. It's a movie that's not afraid to pull away from the stoplights. It just keeps going and going. I probably made no sense with that, but it's a movie that's not afraid to just go for it. Go for what it needs to do to accomplish its goal. The actors overall are very good. Richard Bohringer, Michael Gambon, Helen Mirren, Alan Howard, Tim Roth is in this, Kieran Hines. Just a great cast overall. The visuals, like I said, are stunning. The music by Michael Nyman is very good. And it just keeps you invested in what's going on. You want to see how this is all going to pan out in the end, even though it's probably going to end horribly. But it does it keeps your interest all the way through, and that's what a good movie like this should do. It could have been easily pretentious. It could have been very, very artsy-fartsy, but it's none of those things whatsoever. It's a movie that if you keep with these stories like this, you get the effort that you get what you want at the end. I might be rambling right now, but that's just how I feel about this movie. If you stick with it and give it a chance, you will probably get what you want in the end. That's what I wanted to say from this whole thing. So, yeah, that's The Cook, the Thief, His Wife, and Her Lover. And with that said, that's going to wrap up another edition of Time About the Movies. Next time around, we got 3 movies to look at, including Dudley Moore and Daryl Hannah in the comedy Crazy People, the sequel to Gods Must Be Crazy 2, and also Vital Signs. So 3 movies we'll look at next time around. Thank you guys for watching, and as always, if you want to see more videos like this, check out the playlist on the next page, check out the previous episode. I'll see you guys tomorrow for another new episode. So thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys tomorrow, and until then, take care.